If the president hadn't tweeted and tweeted something that was false, would we have ever heard that call recording?
No, it was a private conversation as far as I was concerned. And he broke privacy when he put out a tweet, but then his tweet was false.
Was there any agreement that this call was not going to be recorded or would be kept confidential?
No, there was no agreement, and we didn't know what the purpose of the call really was. We assumed it was about the November election, and really Wednesday. If President Trump wouldn't have tweeted out anything and would have stayed silent, we would have stayed silent as well. And that would have just been a conversation between him and I, man to man, and that would have been just fine with us. But he's the one that couldn't, had to put it out on Twitter. And so if you're going to put out stuff that we don't believe is true, then we will respond in kind.
Let's run quickly through some of the president's allegations about the election in Georgia. Did 5,000 dead people vote?
No, it's 2.
Were thousands of voters from out of state?
No, we have the totals less than 500. It's less than 300.
Another allegation. Were there 50,000 people who showed up to vote and were told they had already voted?
No. If there would have been, you would have heard about it from someone. You look about how many people showed up that day, that would have been 5% of every voter would be turned away. No, there were no reports of anyone being turned away on Election Day.
What about reports of ballots being shredded or burned?
No, that didn't happen either.
So you're the Republican Secretary of State who donated to the president and also voted to him. Where do you believe the president is getting this information?
Well, I know in one case it has to come from Rudy Giuliani.
Why do you believe that Rudy Giuliani is feeding this information to the president?
You'd have to ask him. But it's been really, I think it's really been destructive to the fabric of our society, because people believe that some of this stuff has actually happened when it has not happened.
The thing about going up against Trump is that the only thing more predictable than him is the sun rising in the morning. And so knowing that it was only a matter of time before Trump inevitably misrepresented his conversation with Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, he was plenty prepared to release the tape of their conversation to counter the disinformation that the president would spread. And then, lo and behold, Trump tweeted this. I spoke to Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger yesterday about Fulton County and voter fraud in Georgia. He was unwilling or unable to answer questions such as the ballots under the table scam, ballot destruction, out-of-state voters, dead voters, and more. He has no clue. To which Raffensperger replied, respectfully, President Trump, what you're saying is not true. The truth will come out. And it did.
Now, do you think it's possible that they shredded ballots in Fulton County? Because that's what the rumor is. And also that Dominion took out machines. That Dominion is really moving fast to get rid of their machinery. Do you know anything about that? Because that's illegal.
This is Ryan, Germany. No, Dominion has not moved any machinery out of Fulton County. We're having.
But have they moved? Have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts?
No.
You sure, Ryan?
I'm sure.
You should want to have an accurate election. And you're a Republican.
We believe that we do have an accurate election.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have, not even close. You're off by hundreds of thousands of votes. You know what they did and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense. And you can't let that happen. That's a big risk to you and to Ryan, your lawyer. That's a big risk. But they are shredding ballots, in my opinion, based on what I've heard, and they are removing machinery, and they're moving it as fast as they can, both of which are criminal fines, and you can't let it happen, and you are letting it happen. I'm notifying you that you're letting it happen. So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
And frankly, you'd have thought that after having been impeached already for a different conversation where he tried to extort an elected official to help his own re-election, that Trump would learn a thing or two. And yet apparently not, because despite there being a number of people on the call, and despite Georgia being a one-party consent state, meaning only one party needs to consent to making an audio recording of a conversation, still Trump went on blindly demanding that the Secretary of State, quote-unquote, find 11,780 votes. And bear in mind, this is exactly 1 vote more than the margin that he's losing by in Georgia. He didn't even try to make it look like anything other than him attempting to flip the election. The only approach more ham-handed than this would be to write the demand in Sharpie on his forehead and stand on the roof of the White House. That being said, there's still time. And yet, even despite proving Trump wrong by releasing audio of his own words, still Raffensperger has to go on to continue debunking Trump's endless barrage of false claims. Just think about that. Raffensperger already easily proved that Trump's a liar, that he will shamelessly spread disinformation. And yet Trump's supporters are so brainwashed by him that still Raffensperger has to fall over himself to disprove the rest of the false claims that Trump is perpetuating. And yet, even though Trump was so decisively called out here, now the line from Republicans is that it was apparently some breach of confidentiality to release the call. Suddenly we're back to the GOP wailing about decorum, as if that's the issue here. Not the President of the United States yet again trying to extort someone to help him win an election. No, that part is totally fine. The real problem is that Raffensperger dared tell anyone when clearly this president should have carte blanche to commit whatever crimes he wants, so long as he's speaking to another Republican. But nope, definitely not a cult. Even Fox News is carrying water for Trump, focusing not on the extortion, but on Raffensperger revealing the extortion.
And did you okay the release of the phone call? Did you say, okay, let's go ahead and release the audio of the phone call?
The information's out there, and it is what it is.
That's not an answer to my question. Are you going to answer my question? Were you aware of the decision, and were you in favor of the decision to release the phone call, sir?
I think that we had to respond to the president's Twitter, and we responded with the facts that were in the call, and that's how it got out there. So now the world can just see what was in there. They can make up their own decisions, listen to the whole thing, both sides of the aisle, right down the middle, and they can make their own decisions.
All right. So, I mean, that's pretty clear that you were aware that it was going to be released and that you were okay with it.
Trump could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue, and if anyone in the GOP ever called him out on it, they'd excommunicate them for questioning Trump's Second Amendment rights. I did mention the cult thing already, right? The fact is that Trump has shown us beyond a shadow of a doubt that not only is he willing to lie, but that he'll do it shamelessly and openly in pursuit of trying to steal this election. The good news is that he hasn't fully engulfed the GOP with his criminality, and because of that, this nightmare is only days away from being over. While you're here, please check out my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. I take a deep dive into the top stories of the week, and I also interview major players in the world of politics, like Kamala Harris, Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, Pete Buttigieg, Katie Porter, Al Franken, Cory Booker, Jamie Harrison, Mary Trump, and many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.